on. And I did the stone subbing, you know, where you have to go down and decide which lines you can pull out. So you have to be able to read upside down and back to front from 6 feet away. You know? Yeah, because the type's upside down and back to front as well.
It's so funny.
So you have to be able to read like that and edit like that. You know. Yeah. You say to the compositor then, oh, take those 3 lines out and just throw them away. And see that comma in the middle of that paragraph? Well, cut the rest of the line by machining down machining down those letters. And see where the comma is? Just take your steel ruler and nick the edge off the comma and make it a full stop. That was the kind of editing decisions you had to make back in those days.
Wow.
When men and deodorant had to be industrial strength in a place where there's all this hot metal and machinery and stuff like that. Yep. So that's kind of where I started from. But as I say, it took 400 years to go from placing individual characters to being able to set a line of type. We've been doing the web for how long? Went mainstream about 1995, and it really started. I can remember going to the web, I think in 1992 or 93, using NCSA Mosaic. I remember going on at that time. So that's how long we've been doing this. What? Is my math right? 16 years? If we call it 1992, call it 16 years.
Sure.
It's no surprise we're not there yet, you know. We've come an incredibly long way, and we can learn from all the lessons of the past. But we have to do that. We have to realise that the past is not something to be thrown away.
Sure.
It's something to be learned from. This whole world of print has 550 years of learnings in it.
Yeah, what's interesting is sometimes if you look at the reading experience hasn't really changed that much in the web in say 10, 15 years or whatever. But in internet time, that's like 75 years in internet time. Like it really just hasn't changed that much, and what things you can do to sort of redefine the experience.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at. I think we're at a point where over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to solve the problems of reading on the screen. I say solve, they're already solved. We're going to implement the solutions for reading on screen.
Bringing that to the masses?
3 to 5 years, and make it mainstream. At which point, you know, we'll be there. And the great thing about it is that if you add all that to the incredible ability to distribute text and gather text from anywhere, that makes the web such an incredible tool. You know, that's what my digital declaration of independence is all about, which I spoke about earlier on in Channel 9. That's what it's all about. I believe that people are right, that the web is revolutionising our lives. It's just that we have to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right? I believe we should throw away a lot of print. I don't think we should be doing very much printing at all going forward. I think I'll still buy some printed books, but more and more I'm kind of tending to read them on screen. I've got an Amazon Kindle and I'm using that.
So
fun.
I'm gonna take yet another rat hole, but Kindle, can you give me the quick and dirty what you think of Kindle?
It's just about good enough for a version 1 product.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good enough that I'll keep using it for a while. I really love the way I can buy my books from Amazon on it though. I love it. Although both places I live are actually outside of Amazon's WhisperNet, so I can't use the device, but I can use my laptop. And I use my laptop and I buy books, and hey, I'm quite sure it will be there.
Yeah.
Because it's always there, you know.
I've never seen it actually.
Yeah. The e-ink display is not quite as nice as I would like. It doesn't have quite as much contrast, so in poor light conditions it's not very good. I much prefer this kind of setup in poor light conditions. It's not very good. I don't like the way the page turns. You know, it kind of flashes at you because the XOR the whole thing, right, to kind of clean it and refresh it.
Okay.
So I don't like that. That's kind of jarring. On the other hand, when I'm reading a book, I'm not turning pages every 5 seconds, you know, so I can kind of put up with it.
Right.
I think these things will get better. I'd like to see, you know, I still think a backlit display is a better bet, because it lets you read in, you know, in a whole range of places. A transflective display is the ideal.
A what kind?
Transflective. So it's reflective when you turn the backlight off, and you can read in bright sunlight.
Oh, excellent! Yes.
But in a low light condition, lots of cell phones, PDAs are like that, you know. And displays like that are kind of a good idea. The other thing that is a problem with the e-ink type displays is screen refresh, you know, and colour. They have no colour. E-ink, e-paper people have been talking about doing colour displays for as long as I've been tracking e-paper, which is something like 10 years, at least 10 years. They've been talking about doing colour, and they've been talking about getting the screen refresh rate up. And I've never seen either. You know, I think the problem is it's a mechanical process. Right? E-paper, you know how it works. There's these tiny little balls embedded in a static charge. They're white on one side and black on the other, and a static charge makes it turn. Right?
Around, right?
Well, I think the problem is that's a mechanical process. You know, you're up against the laws of friction and inertia, and it may not be possible to speed that up.
Sure.
Whereas here you're up against, you know, you have electronics working for you, doing the gating rather than a mechanical process.
Yeah, I think they went. I mean, the problem is always battery life too. Right?
Yeah.
So if you had
It's very good for battery life.
Yeah, because it needs it like for turning the page.
That's right. It's very good for battery life, but not very good for reading in some conditions. It's very good in reading in some conditions that this doesn't work very well in. You know, this particular, you know, a standard laptop display doesn't do very well outside of bright sunlight, whereas that does. So it's kind of horses for courses. I don't think we're going to have the one device, but I would like to be able to read really comfortably on any screen, and we can get there. I know we can get there. I know what it takes. I can describe everything that's necessary to give us a reading experience that is better than paper. I can do it today. A higher resolution display, adaptive layout so that it adapts to the display that you're running on, resolution independence so that the type is the right size. There's another area, of course, where you don't necessarily want to set the type to a fixed size. You might want to let the user put the type up in size because, you know, they have vision issues, for example. So you might you want to be able to adapt your layout in that case. Right. So for print, designers have always exercised this firm control over everything to the 1,000th of an inch. Right? I think they have to let go along a couple of axes on the web. One axis is the screen that the customer is using, and another axis is the customer's preferences. So the New York Times Reader, for example, lets you put the size of the type up and then relays out the page accordingly.
Exactly.
That's what should happen. That's what should happen. The designer who designed the corporate look of the New York Times still has, you know, the corporate logo is used properly, it's the right corporate typeface, etc., etc., but they've had to relax control of some parts of it. You know?
That's something that we haven't had in like print, right?
No, but it's something we can have.
You have this sheet of paper, and I print on this sheet of paper, and I can lay out it like pixel by pixel, right? And here's more like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It should work, but you know, it should scale somehow.
But we can learn a lot from the history of print. You know. Shall I tell you a little story? You know where the letter A came from?
No.
Right. So here's a great book called The 26 Letters by a guy called Angus Ogg.
Is that the history of every letter?
Yeah, yeah. Kind of looks at where the letters came from.
Alright, sorry.
You can actually still find a copy of that on the web. Oscar Ogg is the guy's name.
Okay.
The letter A began as a picture of an ox. Right? An ox with two horns. Right?
But upside down.
Yeah. The Phoenicians took it from the Middle East and it gets turned alpha,